This is our seminar. Seminar. Okay, so once you click on it, you will show up as a funny picture right here, and you will be able to, first of all, see what we're doing, and secondly, what we did, and thirdly, what we're going to do. All right, that is it, and we will be doing this. We will talk about the latest update from OpenAI. Of course, that everybody is talking about this. Our view is always very practical. So, well, what do I do with it practically, and how does it change what I've been doing up until now? And then we'll talk about the advances that we have implemented in Casify. That's for lawyers, and you'll see what we do there. And then I always promise that I'll have my free, the e-discovery open source, working with AI. It's almost there. So I promised end of this week. Let's say the week is not ended. Maybe that what I can say, but very close. I'll tell you what I'm doing there. All right. So with that, I'll start. You know, I could pause and let you uh, speak, but for that, I can just watch the chat and watch the list of participants, Kiran, Marco, and Victor. So I'm allowing everybody to talk, right? And once in a while, look at the chat. But of course, if you say something we will all hear, I think that's great. Now, here we are, and that was the latest update from OpenAI on November 6th. So let's see, if you click on that link, what you get is an email, the announcement. So I think it is a good way to go. Sam Altman also posted this on the web, so you can find it. I'm not going to do that. But this is the official letter that came out. Now, we use it as a guideline because we really need uh, to not lose ourselves, but that looks very dull. When he talked about this, that was extremely exciting, just the opposite, because they have 100 million users per week, and they have 2 million developers who are building applications on top of what they do. So, of course, over there in San Francisco, which is a special story about life in San Francisco, that was very exciting. So let's try to make sense out of that, and then we'll continue. So first of all, they announced a new model, Turbo 4. I don't see it as yet. I do see other advertisements. So I think Turbo 4 is already there, included. Let's try to open it, by the way, because we'll need to be there. Right? Okay. So this is my chat GPT. Right away, it tells you can browse the web pages, analyze data, generate images. Okay. So that's the important thing here, where you can upload the book. So let's see what it looks like. Maybe I have anything. Well, let's say it's a paper. If I upload a book, that will be too much. That's 1,000 pages, and I know it doesn't do it. Sam Altman said 300, maybe close to 300 pages, and that's exactly what we need to investigate. What are the limitations? So here I upload the book, and I can tell me the gist. Nice. Reading document, right? That's what I'm doing. In fact, I'm reading this particular paper. And now you want the gist. That's about quantum unconstrained binary optimization, QUBO. And that's what it is about. So yes, indeed, it read the book. So how does it change your applications? For example, I have one application that's based on AI and on ChatGPT. How that now it goes on and on and on. It doesn't change it. Yes, it can upload one book. There are limits, and these books have to be formatted correctly. That's a must for every application. Now I'm using and working on this application test. So that's a Casify application that I used a few times already. And it allows you to upload your cases as a lawyer, and then it allows you to do something with that. For example, you can go to AI part and ask your questions. Well, there is a lot you need to do before you get to ChatGPT. I'll tell you what you need to do. So even though that's great, we can upload the book. Well, no, that doesn't obviate the systems that you do, and your work is not done as yet. Now I see more people are here, so I'm allowing everybody to talk, and we're talking about what new things ChatGPT allows to do, and how does that affect real work in the implementations. And here we are. Let's go back.
Yeah, can I say something here?
Yes, Kiran, yes.
Yeah, so this one, the 128K context length that is, included here is allowing us to read these books. Earlier, we had to write the code to keep the context length within the 4K limit and read
Yes.
page by page and create the vectors from there. And then, so this is all not required. So people with, I mean, just like what he showed, if you have a PDF, just upload it and get this, gist of it or the key highlights or something like that. There are startups like Chat with PDF or, many of them, they all have been doing it for people. Now OpenAI gets it out of the box.
Yes,
That's
and
a big difference.
that is a big difference. That's very nice. The real applications that are not just read this book and summarize it for me. The real applications that I'm showing you, they have a lot of value, and I'll enumerate exactly what has to happen. It's like you're building a big application, and one element of it is OCR. If that OCR is now much better, well, that's great, but the whole application still stays. Will you
Got it.
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, it's great that you don't have the limit, that the limit now is, Sam Altman quoted in words or tokens and in pages. What I remember is 300 pages. So that model has 300 pages limit, and it is also 3 times cheaper. So 3 times cheaper and also much more precise. That's all very nice, perfect. And if you're building applications, that helps very much. Now, my particular spend on ChatGPT right now in the case of application is about 100 a month. So if that's 3 times less, it will be about $30 a month. But again, we're not facing a crunch in the pricing. So for us personally, it wasn't that important. That's where they are. They reduced the pricing. Now, function calling. You can give it a different function for doing things, and that's, again, moving into more flexible way. But I prefer to do my own functions
Is
because,
function calling like Python functions or plugins?
yes, because it decides what functions to use and whether it will use them. Well,
I
we'll look at practical aspects. I'm not denigrating it in any way. That's awesome, great progress as a platform. But I'll tell you that if you're building a startup, if you're one of those millions of people who are using ChatGPT in your startups, you're not fired. You still, and they don't want to do your applications. It's up to you. Model is more deterministic. That's a very funny way to say that just give me the random number seed. We all are programmers. We know that when you start a random number generator, you can start with no seed and then you never know what comes out. Or you can always give it the same seed. Well, that they've added this. So you can have completely repeatable results, which for developer is very nice. So that is,
So does that change a behavior even if your temperature is 0? Then
yes.
okay,
Even if you're at 0, it's still a little bit random. With that, it's completely frozen.
okay.
Well, I'm not reviewing this just because I'm not using ChatGPT 3. Now, assistant, that is additional things like vacation planner. They showed, for example, like you're planning something and you want to verify that it jibes with your calendar. So it can tell you there's a potential conflict. And if you're late for the meeting, it will even inform the Sam Altman that you will be late for his meeting. So it's practical, very smart. And it gave me the idea that, that's a similar problem that we have in our application. So in Caseify, our lawyers plan things, but in a very smart way. For example, the judge asks, "Can you do it at this time?" It should verify because the circumstances is that if there is a hard conflict, it should know. If there is a multiple cases reviewed with the judge at this time, well, they go sequentially. So that's not a conflict, and so on. In other words, you can do very smart calendar conflict. They did it. They did the smart calendar conflict, but all your conflicts will be very custom. For example, you may be in a meeting, but you may just listen with one eye or listen with one ear and be at the same meeting. Whether you can do it or not, that's the rules that you will put in. Another thing is visual input. So you can generate pictures right there. You can read the pictures. My problem, I will show you, I need to understand scientific graphs. So that is still a question whether I will be able to use it. I have a scientific book. I'll show you that book. And here I have a different plan. We'll see. But for, again, general consumption, that's awesome. For a specific application that you're building, maybe you will have to do something else.
A question
Custom,
on the Dolly 3. I
yes.
tried using that and it said directed me to use through ChatGPT 4. And I typed in a generate image and typed a regular text and it came back. We're not able to generate images at this time. So is that not available
Yes.
at the web interface, just at the API interface?
Well, I looked at it and it worked right away. Let's start generate. And I was listening to it on Tuesday, and I noticed that the lecture the presentation came on Monday. It worked. So
Okay,
many of
so
the
it's working now.
many
That's
of the things, yes, many of the things that they promised indeed were there right away. But I heard that the next day there was a humongous glitch and nothing worked
maybe I
altogether.
just hit it during a glitch.
Yeah. And one of my friends said, "Oh, nice." One of my friends said that at 80 billion valuation, guys, you should have better guarantees that it's working. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it is that they are almost letting you into the lab. So yes, they should have guarantees of being up, but maybe they don't. And in fact, there is a link somewhere that shows you the current health. Okay, another thing that I noticed, it says, I'm checking the web, I'm using Bing, by the way, it doesn't hesitate to promote the Bing to search, and I'm looking at the website, I am looking at the website, and this is the result. That's what it is doing now. I don't know if you've seen it. Let's go back. Okay, so it's searching, and maybe I'm not even looking at all the features. So if there is any other feature, then you can ask me, and maybe we'll figure it out. But basically, smarter, cheaper, bigger. The projects that I'm working with, I don't think they're affected, and I don't think they will be affected because there is a certain philosophical limitation to ChatGPT. One of them is, my personal opinion, is that ChatGPT is trained on the humanity, and our humanity is quite limited and mediocre. It doesn't understand that some books are really good and some books are not so. So it's not on the level of a genius. That's one thing. Pictures, they require understanding. And okay, let's go into practical aspects. So with all of these great things, practically, I'll show you what's going on. Well, this is Casify. No. Let me try to stay within that one browser. So that they don't have to jump between browsers. So that's the application that I'm working on. Okay, yes. All right, that's the application for the lawyers that I'm always showing. And that application includes AI. For that, you can go into, let's say, a case. It will read all these documents. Then you go to Casify AI, and you will ask a question, who is the victim? Now, it may not work because my friend Marlon is working on that exactly right now, and you see it broke, but that's the test environment. That's okay. I really need the new UI that I want to show you. So one of the lawyers came to us and he said, I want to give it lots of textbooks on gas chromatography. I myself went to the conference and I learned many hours about gas chromatography. I still am not there. I still need to ask my expert friend who charges $400 an hour, and I need 4 hours of his time. So I'd like your ChatGPT to be smart and to learn about gas chromatography. Here are the 7 textbooks. That was a wow. Okay, the way we implemented this is, first of all, and then you can ask questions and say, include your knowledge of gas chromatography, or include your knowledge, let's take out, your knowledge of California criminal jurors. Now, this gas chromatography is 300 pages. This CalCrim is 3,000 pages. And potentially you need multiple sources. When you do this, and that's all done, except that he is right now fixing it in that environment, but I'll show you how practically you do it when you're a developer. So when you do this, you are looking right away at the inclusion of multiple sources, maybe 7 books, and maybe you don't like all of them. Maybe you only like specific ones. So you see, at this point, ChatGPT becomes a wonderful piece of the solution, but probably never the only piece of the solution. And we have added this knowledge to a separate case. You don't see this, but there are cases here. If I go to cases, there is the case of gas chromatography. Really, it's my experiment. That's where the books are, but really it's hidden. In any case, it's the same idea. The idea is that when you go to Caseify AI, then you are allowed to ask cross cases. Up until now, you were only asking who is the judge or who is the criminal and what did he do. Now you're asking who is the judge, who is the criminal, and what are the instructions for the jurors telling me. That's what you are doing. How are you doing it? Well, I'll show you. It is 1 second in PyCharm. PyCharm, and then I really want the code. So 1 second while it's opening. It's worth it because that's I worked a long time on that, the implementation. And I usually work on another machine. So here it's opening for the first time. Therefore, I need to get all the code. No. Here. Magic could work. Okay, and it's on the code. No. Well, okay, that code I maybe will not show you, but the code does this. The way you implement all questions addressed to ChatGPT is with the, I really don't see it here, so I'll show you it in GitHub. Also good. Here it is. I need to be on my branch. In Caseify AI, in the code. And that is where I develop all of the questioning. So of course you don't develop in the application itself, you use your own tools. When it's ready for the application developer, it's there. And when you're asking question, that is probably in main. Here. So you already know how to ask one question. Here, question a case. That is related to just that particular case. So you do the same thing. That architecture hasn't changed. First, you ask Pinecone right here. You get similar documents from Pinecone. And I suspect that ChatGPT might be doing something similar. Because it's okay to load ChatGPT with millions of pages, but it's like a human. Human, when he learns, or she, when he or she learns, should learn from one teacher first, get the knowledge and the basics right. Then he can accommodate multiple teachers. This is where, for example, my advice works. When you look at Moses AI, which is based on my Talmud, very clean source of knowledge, it gives you better answers than ChatGPT in general, because ChatGPT in general tries to be politically correct and looks at all possible sources of knowledge. It's very hard to have one consistent point of view. Well, here too, if we are looking at Pinecone, then we're finding the relevant pieces of knowledge, and that's what happens here. Pinecone give me the relevant pieces of knowledge, which is a separate piece of work, how to create those individual pieces of knowledge, how to take the document, how to OCR it, how to break it into pieces of knowledge, because they shouldn't be too big, shouldn't be too small either. And that is the general architecture, how you do this. After this, we're interested in the new functionality now, question multiple cases. And instead of asking from one case, you give it a few sources of knowledge. Well, here too, practically, don't confuse a human or ChatGPT with too many sources of knowledge. I'm not putting any limitation on that here. Here you can potentially have multiple sources of knowledge. They are all listed the string called case IDs before it was called case ID. Now with this, you have the same functionality. When it is one source of knowledge, you're asking that source of knowledge, getting the right document, and asking your question. But when it is multiple sources of knowledge, here I'm doing a loop. Go through all the case IDs, and for every one case ID, do this. Ask ChatGPT, give you the relevant sources of knowledge. So plainly speaking, you're asking multiple sources of knowledge or multiple experts, get their answers, and supply one expert said this, the other expert said that, and then the third expert said this.
Question.
That is,
Do you
one second. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you, but I just need to finish this, not to lose this train of thought. And then it is a simple merge right here, where it is a Python array. So where is this? Where is the Python? It's a Python, I think a Python combined list. There's the combined list, right? So I do ask multiple experts and then I extend. That's the magic of Python. Now I sound like I know stuff, but no, I asked ChatGPT and they told me that is how you do the loop in Python. That is how you combine the lists. Now your question.
In the embedding, do you ever do hybrid lookups? So as opposed to just doing a text match, if you have explicit knowledge, the case is in California, or the other explicit database fields to constrain, and then after those constraints, you do the embedding vector match.
That's a great question, and I have not done it yet. In fact, my embeddings are very simple. They're always the same, and they're OpenAI embeddings. Sam Altman did mention that. He said that, oh, we did it all for you. I have to investigate what did he mean on November 6th. What did he mean, oh, we did it all for you? Because they already did it. I'm already using the embeddings. We'll find out, but you're asking about more complicated embeddings, smart embeddings. I'm not doing it yet. In fact, my breaking of the documents into pieces is pretty primitive. It gives me some warnings when I do this. And what's amazing is that it works. That's to praise the ChatGPT, because not much changed from the very first implementation when I did the POC. And now there is very little difference between now and then, but it always worked great. And that because ChatGPT is able to figure out a lot of things. Did I address your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, guys, now that's the code, which is big secret. We're going to file a patent on that. At least I'm thinking about this. But practically, what do you do? Okay, that may look great as code with the help of ChatGPT, but it's not working in the application yet. Yes, it's not. But here's what I do. Here. So first of all, I create a fast API application. That's the code I was just showing to you. Now this is fast API running. That is localhost. You see it's running locally, and that is what I developed. Then my programmer friend, he puts it into Amazon. And the way he puts it into Amazon is run this in the container, run it in what's the name of this dopey guy? Beanstalk, right? So run it in the beanstalk, and he gets some errors that I don't get. Well, that's very natural. Programmers always get this mystical thing. So it runs here for me, but it doesn't run for him yet, and that's why I couldn't show you in this test environment. Now that is still inconvenient. I have the store document. I have the question cases, and in question cases, you can now add a few. We need to click on try it. Case number, let's say, gas chromatography, GC, and then also case number California criminal jury instructions. That's how technically it will work. But even that, and then my question, I don't think it will work, but I'll try. Who is the, let's say, victim? But keep in mind, victim. And what are the rules? So now use both knowledge. Not true. No, oh no, not another one, but just run. No promises on that. Okay, didn't crash so far. Okay, so what did it say? Okay, no context. And because it's probably built-in working, but that is how it would work, but it's still inconvenient. So he, my friend, he'll use my fast API to do the calling. I, the programmer, I'll use Postman. And that is to ask questions about case 53. So let's try that. And I'm asking, are you understanding that specific instruction? So he probably ruined this index, but in the real environment, it will verify that it's looking at instruction as of 2022 third edition. So once it says this, I know that it's not based on generic California criminal lawyers instructions for the jurors, but he is looking at that specific edition. So now you see the complete architecture of the application. You build a smart index, you ask that specific index together with all the other indices, then you let ChatGPT decide which information applies, and that's where I'm right now. So you see, it works especially if your friend doesn't run your indices. But that's what I wanted to show. First, I wanted to show you the applications as they are today. And secondly, the applications as they are in my lab. That's what I'm working on. That's searching multiple data sources in Caseify. And that's still not it. I mean, that's still not the end of what you can do. Sam Altman is very excited about his company and the results, and me too, and the 2 million developers who build on top of that also. But here I'm showing what other things you will need, what other things you will need for things to work, and that is my other application. So FREED stands for Free Electronic Evidence Discovery. It's an open source tool that allows you keyword searches. So basically load all the documents, and for discovery, for civil discovery, you have many more documents than sometimes in other cases. So I'm just restoring it because I was affected by the log4j bug, and they very nicely took all log4j code out of my project and it stopped working. So right now I'm fixing it, but I'm almost done. So today I should have it. After that, I will add the AI. So now the application reads all the documents, millions, potentially more, because that's the nature of e-discovery. They have lots of stuff. Reads that, allows you to search with keywords, and the next step allows you to talk to them. So when I started this company of mine called Skya, that was the first use case. Look how far it went. So we called ourselves AI advisor, and it was just a very simple syntactic search. We said, and there's a demo. There was a ask your question, and then we will find the relevant documents, but syntactically. Now, that's much better today when we have that working. Ask your question, and we'll find it by meaning, and that's a great equalizer. That's what they like to call lawsuits, a great equalizer. You might be surprised. Lawyers are not popular in literature, and Hamlet says, what about all your acquisitions? Looking at, if you're a lawyer, looking at his skull, what happens to all your things, right? But in a way, it is an equalizer, because before a large company just kills the small one. Now the small one can take them to court. Well, what happens here is that if your tool now is as smart as ChatGPT, you can take on any other competitor because they have no advantage against you other than their size. But you now have the smarts of ChatGPT. So what stops me here is just login broke, but very soon, and I must have it because I already promised to other people that it will be available. Now, of course, it can't be completely open source because that allows you access to payable services from ChatGPT. But I think I'll find a way to allow other people to use it. So that's where I am with this project. And I think it will be a great demo and a use case. Okay, that's what I wanted. I wanted to look at all the new things from November 6th. I wanted to show you new questions that come up in AI and solutions. And I wanted to also mention what I'm doing with this FREED, which is a very classical AI problem. So it's not only for e-discovery, it can be used for other places. All right, now at this point, I'll stop sharing and stop talking and allow you to ask questions.
Is the Caseify available on GitHub, or that's something you don't want to share because it's a commercial product you want to generate money with?
Yes, commercial product.
Okay. I may want to talk to you afterwards about.
You can ask me questions about. You see, I'm very open about everything that we do.
Sure. Okay.
It's available also as an application. So you go to getcasify.com and you can sign up and it's there. Oh, I need to look at the chat and see if anybody's saying anything.
Hi,
No.
hi.
Yes,
This is Vinod.
yes,
So I
Vinod.
have a question. So since you are using OpenAI, instead of OpenAI, shall we use the Llama 2? How matured it is?
That is a great question. I have a situation. Situation is agencies, what do they call them? District attorney. An agency within the United States, they have a very strict rules called sieges, where they cannot use anything on the web. And for them, I'm preparing this freed, and I will plan Llama. My investigation is that Llama says I am about 70, 80% as accurate as ChatGPT. Sam Altman just said that nobody comes close to ChatGPT. We're still the best, and that's absolutely true in my practical experience. But here I'm limited. I cannot use anything other but Llama. Now, in my demo, I will still use ChatGPT, but because it's a demo, when they put their real documents, they will be using Llama, and I will report the results. Is that your question?
Yeah, that is my question.
Have
And
you
is
run any accuracy checks on a corpus of questions relevant to your application to compare accuracy on Llama 2 versus GPT-4?
No, that's what I will be doing because my next project is, remember, there's a weights and balance. There's a library advertised by Andrew Ng, and that is exactly that kind of library, how to watch your overall quality, overall team work. So that's the next on my plate. I haven't done it yet.
I have another question. So
Yes.
since OpenAI is having API access, is it possible to train the Llama model, which is a very portable Llama model specific to our
Mm-hmm.
use case, by uh, getting suggestions from OpenAI?
Yes, and is it possible to do the gun kind of thing where you have one system against the other and they fight? It's extremely complex. You can try, but uh, fine-tuning models requires GPU, right? So first of all, it will be a lot of GPU that we will need. One thing that you can hear is when Microsoft CEO, he comes a surprise visit to Sam Altman on this November 6th presentation. And the CEO of Microsoft, I got his name for now, he mentions that it's amazing what kind of jobs they are running. The scale and the synchronicity of those training jobs is amazing. He never saw anything like that being at Microsoft. So, and that's what Sam Altman also says. Training a new model, it's in the range of $1 billion. And that's what we cannot replicate. And that's what many of his competitors cannot replicate. That's why they're still the best. It's go ahead and risk another $1 billion and we don't guarantee the result situation. So practically, I'm always looking at no training required because I need an existing model. I know my limitations. Practically, I won't be able to do things like what you're saying.
Got it. I was thinking like, so OpenAI is giving multiple areas when we ask the prompts. So if I'm very, very specific to a certain portfolio, then I believe that much of fine tuning is not required, right? So that's where I thought of asking this one.
Yes, I see a approach. And by the way, there is a similar approach in building, I think they call them chains of conversations in LangChain. And what they do is first they ask ChatGPT, is he asking me about this or that? In other words, it's a conversation that you do internally. Is he asking me about medicine or is he asking me about math? And then you tell ChatGPT, now answer this question as a math professor. And besides, you say, you're a 60 years old math professor with big glasses. You can give him character. So the approach is the same that you're discussing. Maybe instead of asking very generic questions that require all of the knowledge, maybe limited. So I'm not saying that that's an answer to a question, but that's how you can try your idea. You can see what ChatGPT will do in this multi-step conversation, and that will give you the best possible quality. And then you try to do it with Llama.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
You're very welcome. All right, guys. Right with your questions. And here,
Comment?
yes, please.
Oh, just to mention, with your permission, my class tomorrow, if people are interested.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Oh, I
So-
see it on the chat. That's the one.
I didn't paste it. No, you put it in your
Oh.
document for last week. There was
Yes,
a ACM class we're teaching next week this upcoming Saturday, tomorrow, on building enterprise AI applications. So that's locally in Mountain View, California. So
okay, sure. So
Yeah.
will you
Sorry,
email that
Greg,
to me? That's the best way. Email, and I will put it on my list for everybody, right?
can I get I mean, are you suggesting to send an email? I would love to see
Yeah,
what's
of
going on
course.
over there.
yeah, if you do a web search on Meetup for SF Bay ACM, then the next event we have on that Meetup is this building large language model application. So it's an in-person class.
Oh, it's an in-person. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I'm based out of Dallas.
Okay. If you're interested, if you're interested in signing up, send me an email, and we could see if we could accommodate a remote person.
Yeah. Can you get the email address, please? Can I get it?
Yeah, Greg_Makowski at yahoo.com. GREG_MAK.
Greg, do you want to type it in the text so that there are no
Sure.
mistakes?
Let me.
And then I also have a question that I want to discuss from Olga. So I will. All right. While you're typing, Greg, the question is this. Thank you for sharing your experience. I think that it is possible to select important parts for the user question from several books. And after that, select the answer from the review, the summary of parts. It looks like you have the good base for another startup. Yes. Well, that's another startup I'm working on right away. I'm working on a medical startup, and I really enjoy working with this doctor. He is here in Houston, and he found me because of these webinars. So his idea, and he changes the ideas every week. He is very smart and generates another idea. The idea is that there are 200 books that tell you different things about medical field and what you should do. And he wants this weekend to load all these books, and then Olga do exactly what it says, what you say here, that ask every book, see what the answer is, and combine. And I think that's what you mean, right? Yeah, and many of such, yes. Okay, great. And I think that the world is big in the sense that there will be many interesting things, and ChatGPT doesn't stop you from doing things. It helps you doing more things. So in the famous argument, will AI kill us all or no? will it be our friend? And there are two theories. That one is that it will take over and it will be our enemy, and another one, it will be our friend. So I'm on the side that it will be our friend, but only the future will tell. Yeah, I agree to that. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I see more questions.
I was just
Okay.
typing information.
Okay. I see that. Will the people see that information?
I don't.
You
Did
see,
I just?
you did question and answer, so I wondered if I need to. No, I see Kiran. He is also here.
Okay.
Somehow
I
that
sent
channel.
the email right just now.
Yeah. And Greg, you see what Kiran is saying, right?
Yes, that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Be well. Wishing you a great week, and hope to talk to you next week.
Could I have a brief chat with you after the Zoom session ends?
Of course, yes. And even better, this is my phone.
Okay.
So where can I find your email address? I couldn't find on the chat.
Okay. I'll give you a call after the Zoom finishes for a brief chat.
Okay, and I will put Greg's email here on chat.
Thank
There
you.
you are. Now everybody has everything. Okay,
Okay. Sure.
guys,
Thank
be
you.
well, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
all.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.